Welcome to episode 2 of Stop the Nonsense, where we are now on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think that's about it.
Still on SoundCloud. Um, so let's just get right into it. Last week, we talked about how disappointing the divisional playoff was. That was not the case this week. Championship Sunday was phenomenal. First time ever, both games going to overtime. But it wasn't without controversy, and that's where we'll start. We'll start in the NFC Championship. This game started off much slower than I anticipated. I thought this would be a high-scoring game, and the reason was I wrote early that the Rams' red zone defense looked great. Because every time the Saints got down there, the offense just stalled. They did whatever they wanted in between the 20s, and they just couldn't seem to punch it in. They had to settle for 2 field goals early, went up 6-0, eventually went up 13-0. But this wasn't the high-flying Saints offense that we got used to seeing throughout the regular season.
Not at all. I'm pretty sure I predicted it to be the same thing as the regular season game, and it easily hitting the over. Completely wrong on that.
Yeah, I think we both picked it to hit the over. We both were wrong with our picks. We both took the Saints and the over, and it went the complete opposite way. So, obviously, the big play is the pass interference towards the end of regulation let me look at my notes, how much time was left exactly. There was 1:45 left, and Roby Coleman, I forgot what his first name is, Nickel Roby Coleman, I think.
It's something ridiculous.
It's an incredible name, and he's not a special player. He was a lot more involved than I thought he would be, and he was getting worked all day, to be honest. Every time I heard his name, it was because there was a flag or he was getting beat. But he basically just takes out, who was the wide receiver? I can't believe I didn't write that down.
Tommy Lee Lewis.
Tommy Lee Lewis.
Another spectacular name.
Goes up for a pass and just gets laid out. And I'm watching the game at a friend's house, and as the play happened, we were all just like, oh, well, that's pass interference.
Oh.
And then you're waiting for the flag. And they're like, no?
The flag just never came.
No flag?
It was one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in football this year.
Roby Coleman hops up, and you see him look around, because he knows what he did.
Oh, 100%.
And he's looking for the flag, and he's like, oh, all right, no flag. Let's go.
It was ridiculous. I mean, he didn't even turn around to look for the ball. It was also helmet to helmet.
It was a helmet to helmet.
Not even just pass interference. So it was pass interference and helmet to helmet. And I mean, that flag gets thrown. That's basically game over, and the Saints are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was laughing because I heard the cat in the background there.
I hope it dies.
Wow. Yeah, so the Saints certainly robbed. Sean Payton says that the executive vice president of officiating, Al Rolling on the Riveron, gave him a call right after the game and acknowledged that it was pass interference. What the hell does that do for you? Like, what is that? That does nothing.
That just adds insult to injury.
Yeah.
I'd be even more mad.
That's like if a girl breaks up with you and then gives you a call and goes, oh, and by the way, I cheated on you too. Like, what is... That doesn't fix anything.
No. That just makes me want to drive my car off a bridge.
I mean, if you're a Saints fan, how do you get up for work the next morning?
You don't. I'd call into work. I don't think I'd work for the next week.
Because I go back to 2014, the Brandon Bostic game, which, by the way, Brandon Bostic, shut up. Shut up out there tweeting that the ref blew the game like you blew the game. We know. We know you blew the game. We saw it, and we haven't forgotten.
I saw your tweet, and I laughed so hard.
I mean, what the hell is he doing?
I don't know.
And I got to tell you, if I'm one of his teammates from that team, I'm not happy with that tweet.
No.
Because that was a good team. That team could have won the Super Bowl. And I don't know. It was just not a good look. Idiot. Screw that guy.
We're officially an anti-Brandon Bostic podcast.
Yeah, anti-Brandon Bostic. Will never be on this podcast. If Brandon Bostic knocked on my door right now and said, I'd love to be on your podcast, I'd slam the door in his face.
Yeah.
Take a walk.
Fuck off, Bostic.
Get out of here. But when that happened, the Brandon Bostic game, I did go to work the next day, but I was a shell of myself. I just I walked in. First of all, I walked in wearing a Rangers hat because it's time to move on.
Hmm.
The second my team loses, I usually convert hats.
Yep. Right on to the next sport.
And I walked in wearing my Rangers hat, and everybody immediately starts laughing. Not nice. Bad people. Very bad people. And I just kind of zombied my way through the next month because it was so emotionally damaging. I will take that game to my grave, and I gotta believe Saints fans will do the same with this one.
I mean, it's basically 2 years in a row now. You had the
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs catch, the Minnesota Miracle last year in the divisional round, and now you have this year. I mean, it's a rough 2 years.
Well, the only difference is that
I
you
mean,
had a chance to make the play last year,
yes, but
and
I don't even know
Lattimore
who the cornerback was that went to go
was it
take out
Lattimore,
Diggs's legs on that play. But
and he instead took out Manti Te'o's girlfriend.
yeah,
Yeah, he I don't. I think it might have been Lattimore.
it
It
might have
might
been.
have
I'm
been
not
Lattimore,
100% on that, but
who had a phenomenal year this year, so he
yes.
rebounded well. If it was him, rebounded. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, you got the Minneapolis Miracle, but at least that you had a chance to make a play and you blew it. There's nothing you could do about this. The
No.
refs took it out of your hand. But I will say, on that drive, questionable calling. I mean, they
Oh,
get down
the
there.
play calling in the red zone was terrible.
It was abysmal. I mean, I literally wrote at a minute 45. Questionable pass incomplete to Thomas. New Orleans has to use a timeout after the play clock runs down. So that's a terrible sequence right
Yes.
there. You throw an incomplete. It was a bad throw by Breeze. It was near the ground. And then they let the play clock run down, and they got to use a timeout. Um,
I mean, you have Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara in the backfield. I mean, either one of those guys can pick up a couple yards for you and help
run the
run down the
ball.
clock.
But they've been all year, they have been a run to set up the pass team.
Yes.
And I don't understand. There's a lot of stupid in sports. A lot of coaches just get away from what got them there. I go back to the 2004 Yankees. All year, Joe Torre went from Tom Gordon to Mariano Rivera, eighth and ninth inning. That's what got you there.
Hmm.
And then twice, he wanted to go Mariano in the eighth and ninth. We know how that worked out.
Yeah.
So Sean Payton gets away from the run. Poor sequence down there, and of course it leads to a field goal. And when I said there was a minute 43 left, I was like, this game is at a minimum going into overtime.
Yes.
I thought they had enough time to win it.
I thought justice was going to be served on the Greg the leg kick in regulation to tie it. That ball started going wide right a little bit.
He hooked that thing.
I know. I thought it was going. I thought
And
the
I
football
will say
gods were
this:
going to do the right thing. Nope.
what's being lost in all of this is how well Jared Goff played in crunch time. He was very good in big moments. I thought he outplayed Breeze, quite frankly.
Yeah, he looked better towards the end of the game. He struggled definitely in the first half, but he
Both
made
offenses did.
yeah, but he came up big when he needed to in the second half and in overtime technically.
Yeah, with a minute 20, hits a 19-yard strike, um, brings them to their own 44. He then throws one over the middle to Robert Woods, which a better throw might have been a touchdown to end the game, but he did leap and then stumbled and went down. The Saints used their timeout right there with like 40 seconds left. I thought it was too soon. I thought they should have went up and spiked it, but with 15 seconds, they bring in Zerline and he hooks one in to tie the game at 23. And then you go into overtime. There was a pass interference
That was a makeup call in my opinion
absolutely a
because
makeup
that ball
call.
was 100% uncatchable.
And after that, Aaron Donald made a huge play.
Yes.
Loss of 6, went to second and 16. And then the midseason pickup, Dante Fowler Jr., hits Breeze as he's throwing. The ball goes about 80 yards in the air, straight up. and then it was picked off by Johnson.
Yep. And I don't even know why he threw that ball.
I think he was hit while he was throwing. You,
Eh,
you think he should have just eaten it
he
because he saw him coming?
I would have just took the sack, especially in an overtime game in the conference championship game. I mean,
Yep. I
that
mean, he
was
threw it
rough.
up, and unfortunately, it was picked off.
Yeah,
Unfortunately for the Saints. And then, where was Todd Gurley this whole game?
I think he's still
I mean,
hurt.
he's got to be right.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, and he said after the game, "No, I wasn't hurt. I was just sorry. I was sorry today. I didn't play well, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I think he's still
He
battling. I think he had the hip injury. Was his hip?
he had something. He had some. It was something with his legs or something. All I know is that he dropped two passes early on. One of them led to the early interception. It went right off his arms. He didn't look great
No, he had
in the
four.
receiving
He
game.
had 4 carries for 10 yards. One of them being a touchdown,
Won a touchdown.
but 4 carries for a guy that's one of the best running backs in the league in a conference championship game. I mean, that's a big question mark right there. You can't tell me
And
the guy's
without Gurley,
100%.
without Gurley in the game after that interception, they handed off to C.J. Anderson, who nearly fumbled the exchange.
Yes,
And could you imagine if that would have happened? If he fumbles that exchange, the Saints get the ball and the Saints win. Sean McVay's got some explaining to do.
100%.
Um, were you surprised at all that they sent Zerloin out there to attempt a 57-yarder?
I mean, the guy can hit some big time kicks. I mean, I thought it was a little long, but I mean, if you have confidence in your kicker to make that kick, especially in a game to send you to the Super Bowl, I mean, I don't really have an
Because
issue sending him out there. But
I was surprised. I was a little surprised just because that distance. Maybe because it was a dome, he had more confidence in him.
yeah, I
You know,
mean,
it's perfect conditions.
you eliminate the win factor and all that other nonsense. But
And this kick might have been good from 70.
yeah,
I mean, he
he
drilled this thing.
drilled is an understatement. That thing just straight through the uprights. Easily had an extra 10 yards on it too. I mean,
Um, over the last couple days, there have been players, some media members, I know Michael Thomas was one of them, that are citing this rule where apparently the commissioner can either have the game replayed or change the outcome of the game if he feels that the something happened that was unfair, that something outside the player's control, which of course would be the pass interference.
yes,
You can't do that.
yes, because he
You cannot do
he
that.
tweeted out very late at 3:06 a.m. Rule 17, Section 2, Article 3, and he tagged the NFL in it. And it says the commissioner's powers under this section 2 include the imposition of monetary fines and draft choice for forfeitures. That's a weird word. Suspension of persons involved in unfair acts, and if appropriate, the reversal of the game's result or the rescheduling of the game.
All right, but who would you suspend? The referees?
I mean, I guess they would be up for suspensions, right?
I mean, that would be it. How funny that Mike Francesa thought that the jersey swap with Todd Gurley and the ref was real.
That guy's an idiot, man. I've never been a big Francesa guy. I think he's funny to listen to because he's just clueless at times. But
How? I mean, the guy. Listen, he's very successful.
100%.
He's knowledgeable. When he goes into the history of games, I'll tell you, he's knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. But nobody got to him and was like, "Hey, Mike, that's not a real picture."
Do you think he knows what Photoshop is?
I
Zero
don't know.
chance, right?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
No, I don't think he does.
So then, is there a world where Mike Francesa just believes every picture in existence is real?
I would have to say so, yes.
Oh my goodness! But you cannot change the outcome.
No.
You can't do that. The game was played. The emotion. Then what do? People who paid for that game to go to that game, those tickets are expensive.
Hmm.
Do they get that ticket again? Are you gonna sell other tickets? I mean, what if people that made the trip now they got to plan another trip down to New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to. They're just like, you can just go over time, and I guarantee you there's so many games that could have been overturned by bad no calls by referees and
Oh yeah.
all other nonsense like that. And I mean, if it hasn't happened in the past, it's not going to happen now.
I mean, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean, you
there's always
have
going to be
bad
bad
calls.
calls. I mean, it sucks that that's the call that ruined your chance to go to the Super Bowl, but I mean, you really can't do anything about it.
No, it's just it's the breaks of the game, and which brings me to the next question that's been kicked around: should penalties be reviewable?
I
Should pass interference be
I
reviewable?
think so.
I I don't know. I'm on the fence with this because I just think you're opening Pandora's box when it comes. Now, there are some penalties that are reviewable, like 12 men on the field.
Hmm.
If a play is done and you can throw the flag and be like they had 12 guys on the field and then they review it, and trust me, Aaron Rodgers does that like 3 times a month.
Yes.
They have it done that many times. So some are, but a lot of people say it should be black and white. You can't have a judgment call be reviewed. And boy, do we know that pass interference has become a judgment call, as has a catch in the NFL. That's
Hmm.
another issue they still haven't fixed. But, I mean, if I'm a Saints fan, yeah, I would like that reviewed. Can we get our first down? Can we get our trip to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something as blatant as that, it should at least like the league should make a phone call and then have the refs rewatch the play or something. I mean, maybe not like an actual like coaches challenge, but the league should be able to step in and be like, "Hey, you guys really fucked up on this one."
You know what I would like them to do? Because I never understood it anyway. Get rid of this stupid rule where within 2 minutes only the booth can handle challenges.
Yeah,
If you have a challenge within 2 minutes, you should be able to use it. I mean that's the most important. A lot of times, the most important part of the game. We're coming down the stretch here.
especially in during the playoffs,
Yeah, and,
because
and I get it. They want the 2 minute drill. You don't want to slow it down. You want to. How about get the call right?
yeah,
Isn't that the most important thing?
yeah, we don't want to see a game get decided by a referee's stupidity.
Yeah, and that's what happened. And he was looking right at it.
There's two of them looking right at it. Not even one, two of them.
I don't know what they were watching.
I don't
I don't
know.
know what they were thinking. I mean, the reason that the whole defense wins championships. At one point, that was 100% true. The game was a defensive game. Now, the reason you want a great defense, the reason why games are low scoring in the postseason, is because they're called differently.
Hmm.
They let them play more in the postseason than they do during the regular season, and there were plenty of plays throughout that game where it was like, oh, that could have been a defensive holding, but you know what? They were hand fighting back and forth. Let it go. That happens. But this guy got laid out. Tommy Lee Lewis was in midair and just decked by Nickel Roby Coleman.
Yes.
And there was just nothing. Just no, that's fine. That seems
It's.
fine to us. I saw on Twitter earlier somebody did a Madden simulation of it.
I saw that
The
too.
the Madden refs threw a flag, just for the record.
Yeah. Should get them
And
higher than
that game
NFL.
has its own issues. But hey, for Saints fans, my condolences.
Me too.
I've been there with these heartbreaking losses. I know what it feels like. And I look forward to Drew Brees again getting another pass by the media because he's a nice guy and they never call him out on anything. We can continue. Let's get to the AFC Championship. Where the game pretty much started off how I expected it to. As the Patriots, this team is so well coached. They're just a well-oiled machine.
Hmm.
They came out and said, we cannot give Patrick Mahomes extra possessions. We cannot give that offense extra possessions. They averaged 35 points a game this year. He's dangerous. You can do everything right, and he can still make a play. He's that gifted. And they came out and right off the bat had an 8-minute drive for a touchdown,
Yeah.
taking 8 minutes off the clock. Sony Michel, another big game again, had the rushing touchdown. And it was just, again, not even a thought of throwing downfield. Run the ball, 3-yard screen, behind the line of scrimmage passes. Everything they wanted to do, they did. And they were controlling the clock. and they absolutely dominated the first quarter. They forced Kansas City on a 3-and-out, or there was a penalty actually that gave Kansas City a first down,
Mm-hmm.
and then the defense forced a 3-and-out. The second quarter starts. Patriots still have the ball, and Tom Brady throws the worst interception I've seen him throw in his career.
Yes.
If they punch that ball in and you go up 14-0, it could be a different game.
It could be a blowout.
Because they were doing everything they wanted. Their game plan, again, executing the game plan. We talked about it last week. There's no team better, probably in all of sports, at executing their game plan than the New England Patriots. They came out, they wanted to dominate possession, and they wanted to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. And they were doing that perfectly in the first half. They shut out KC in the first half, and they were leading 14-0 going into the half, which I'm not sure anybody really expected that. It didn't shock me.
No.
I know a lot of people might be shocked that the Chiefs were shut out in the first half. Didn't shock me at all. This is the New England Patriots we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that team is just unbelievable come playoff time. Every year.
Again, it's going to sound like I'm knocking Brady. And Brady had a good game. He missed some throws, but he's still a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's all about Belichick. I look at that team. I probably go like 60-40 as far as is it Belichick or Brady, and I'm giving it to Bill. That's the guy that makes everything run. They win even without Brady.
Yeah, Matt Castle.
They went 11-5 with Matt Castle, and missed the playoffs. What a weird year. Was it 10-6 or 11-5? I think it was 11-5.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Point is that they won 10 games with Matt Castle, and they missed the playoffs. But in the second half, how valuable is James White to that team, by the way?
He's just Mr. Reliable for them at this point. You need a first down on third down, basically. He's getting it every time. The guy can do anything. He's phenomenal at catching the ball out of the backfield.
He's a perfect player for that kind of offense. They used to have Shane Vereen. Bless you. And they've had a bunch of players like that in the past. I'm drawing a blank on that one guy who had like a huge game with them a couple years ago. He had 4 touchdowns, and then he became that kind of Shane Vereen type player for a little while. But anyway, the Chiefs only had the Chiefs only had 32 yards of total offense in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute domination by the New England Patriots. The second half was a different story. Specifically, the fourth quarter was a different story. I mean, the Chiefs come out of the gate in the second half, and they Pat Mahomes rolls right, hits, I believe it was Sammy Watkins over the middle for like 54 yards, and then throws a touchdown to the best tight end in the league, in Travis Kelce. Then it was a little bit of a stall because nobody scored again until... Well, all right, so the touchdown to Kelce gave Arrowhead life, and I wrote way too many notes for this game, by the way. I went nuts. But early in the fourth quarter, Mahomes rolls right, throws laser to Williams for a 1-yard touchdown, which made it 17-14. And Patriots, I wrote that the Patriots are probably going to look for another 7 to 8 minute touchdown drive. I was wrong like in a second with that drive because I saw them. They threw one to Edelman for like 20 yards, and I was like, all right, I'm probably wrong. But on 4th and 1, that was when the Patriots went for it from the Kansas City 25, and they got stuffed.
Yes, Burke.
And
God.
yeah, and that reminded me of Colts Patriots back in 2009 when Belichick went for it on 4th down, and the Colts stopped them, and that was the year the Colts actually went on to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. So you thought a little deja vu was about to happen?
That was what I felt. I was like, maybe it is the Chiefs' year. Like, if they can take advantage of it. Mahomes in this game, he looked. There were times where he looked like the phenomenal, unbelievable, gifted player that he is.
Mm-hmm.
There were other times he just looked like a first-year starter. Did not look good in the first half. There were times he was very inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
He took a couple of sacks where I just said, that's inexperience. He took one that knocked him out of field goal range at one point, and they had to punt. And that was the next punt was the Edelman play, where did it touch him? Did it not touch him? I find it hysterical how everybody forgets the rule that if it's a muff punt, you cannot advance the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody thinks it touched Edelman, and it's picked up by the Chiefs, and they run it into the end zone. Everyone's going crazy. Even Jim Nantz was about to say touchdown. You heard his voice get excited, and then he was like, "Oh, you can't advance it. You can't advance it." He caught himself. But I don't think it touched him.
No, I don't think so either.
It was really close, and I was just like, I don't think he touched them. And I wrote down, this is the NFL's worst nightmare after the missed pass interference in the Saints-Rams game. Because now you're going to have two plays. Fortunately, this one isn't being talked about nearly as much.
No.
Because it's not as obvious.
Not at all.
But I really don't think it touched them. And then a couple plays later, Patriots keep possession. Ball goes off Edelman's hands for an interception. And all of us are thinking, ball don't lie.
Yeah.
maybe he did touch it. Right off his fingertips. And at this point, I'm thinking the Chiefs are in prime position to win this game. But they scored too fast. They came down.
As teams that play the Patriots in late game situations, they always leave too much time on the clock.
I mean, this was way too. I mean, I know they were close, but they scored like immediately, and it was the Chiefs' first lead of the game with like 7:40 left,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, all right, 21-17. That's nothing for the Patriots.
No,
they'll figure that out. And the Patriots came down, and they on fourth down. KC was looking to seal it with like 3:50 left. Sonny Michel gets the first down and just keeps on going into the end zone. And I'm like, all right, this is going to get entertaining because now we're within 4 minutes, closing in on the 3-minute mark. The Chiefs are going to try to shoot downfield and score again. But this is where things got a little uncharacteristic for the Patriots. There was a play where it probably would have been changed to incomplete, but on the field it was called a fumble. Travis Kelce fumbled, and the Patriots picked the ball up. But there was a holding penalty on J.C. Jackson, which negated it. Automatic first for the Chiefs. Then, J.C. Jackson, on like the very next play, pass interference all the way downfield. The play after that with 2:55, McCourty dropped an interception in the end zone as Mahomes aired it out. And then Mahomes, with another pass down to Sammy Watkins, got them to the 2-yard line, and then Williams with another rushing touchdown. Again, the Chiefs don't miss Kareem Hunt, which is really a testament to their offense. And Kareem Hunt's going to play somewhere next year.
Yes, he's definitely
going to
get another chance.
I think he's going to end up in Chicago, which really annoys me because that's where Charles Nagy is, or Matt Nagy, not Charles Nagy. Charles Nagy was a pitcher for the Indians back in the day. And the Patriots then, I wrote the Patriots made that drive easy. Because Mahomes, I saw some people were like, what a drive. What a drive. It was all penalties. The Patriots handed that touchdown to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Which is very unlike them.
They have been very undisciplined for basically this whole season, which was, I've talked about during the regular season at times to friends and coworkers that this Patriots team just seems off and not an actual Belichick coach team with the amount of penalties they've taken.
And it's and they're back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Regardless.
It doesn't even matter.
It's incredible.
Take 10 penalties a game. You'll still make it to the Super Bowl. It's crazy.
But after that, with 54 seconds left, Tom Brady throws a pass to Gronk, not a good pass, high, off Gronk's hands, and intercepted. And I thought, oh man, is this over? No, because D Ford lined up in the neutral zone. I mean, so all the conspiracy theories are, of course the Patriots get a flag. No, that flag is thrown right when the ball is snapped because he's in the wrong place. I mean, how?
I understand the amount of hate the Patriots get from so many fans from different fan bases, but like, you just have to admit that they're just a good coach and they're just great. That's it.
It's a perfect storm where the best coach of all time got an all-time great quarterback.
It's just so stupid saying that. Oh, just because of the Patriots, they get all these passes. No, they don't get a pass because of the Patriots. They're just a fucking good team. That's
I
it.
think a lot of times, too, teams, you make your own luck. You hear that a lot in sports. You hear that a lot in hockey because hockey's that kind of game where you can have fluky bounces help you out. But hard work is what leads to this luck a lot of the time. And the Patriots, nobody works harder than the Patriots.
No.
Nobody's more disciplined. They know exactly where they're supposed to be, and they're there all the time. And that's why you find themselves, again, in their 9th Super Bowl. They're playing in their 13th AFC Championship game. Tom Brady's been in the league for 18 years. He's gone to 9 Super Bowls.
It's absurd.
Half of his career, he's playing in the Super Bowl. And I'm sorry, this whole idea, and this comes up a lot in the Jordan-LeBron debate, of, well, you know what? Jordan was 6-0. Montana was 4-0. Or 5-0. No, 4-0. It doesn't matter. My point is, it's better to get there. It's not better to lose in the championship game and not go if you end up losing.
Yeah. I mean, making the big game, it's just, you're there. And if you're there as consistently as Tom Brady is, I mean, it's not just luck. I mean,
because as far as Brady versus Montana, I'd rather go to 8 and win 5, as it is right now, than go to 4 and win them all. I mean, that's just me. And Brady's going to go to 9. And if they lose to the Rams, people are going to say, oh, he's lost 4 Super Bowls. So? He's won 5. He's gone to 9.
And the thing is, the Super Bowls he has lost, they have been close games.
They've been close games.
It's not like he gets blown out when he loses.
I can make the argument that his best Super Bowl was last year's.
Yeah.
His personally. He threw over 500 yards.
Yeah, and it just gets overshadowed because the Eagles beat them.
Because the Eagles won.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I said it last week. The quarterback gets too much blame and too much credit. And that's going to happen. I guess that's just the way people are. People are lazy. They want to look at one guy. They want to pin it on one guy. They forget that these are team sports. Quarterbacks don't play defense. That's why another thing that annoys me, too, is the whole one-on-one thing. Like, well, Eli beat Brady 2 times.
Not true.
Did he? They weren't even on the field at the same time.
Yes, not true. Me being a Giants fan, I can tell you that as Eli did make plays he had to make to win that game, the defense...
That defensive line was incredible.
Yes, in both Super Bowls.
Incredible in those Super Bowls. And look, Eli came up with big plays. The Tyree play, he had to escape.
That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in person.
I don't know how he got out of there.
And then he dropped a dime to Manningham in the second Super Bowl they played each other.
That's the best throw of his career.
1,000%.
Not just the best throw of his career. That's one of the best throws in Super Bowl history.
Yes. I mean,
that throw is incredible.
You put a ball where nobody else but your receiver can get it on the sideline in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. I mean, I've watched Eli Manning for over a decade now, and I've never seen him come close to making another play like that.
Yeah, that throw is incredible. But I went off on a tangent, which happens here.
Yes.
Burkhead scores a touchdown. Patriots go up 31-28. And there's 39 seconds left, and I'm just thinking, let me ask you, Mike, who's the best quarterback I've ever seen?
Aaron Rodgers.
Who have I been comparing Patrick Mahomes to?
Aaron Rodgers.
39 seconds is too long for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
And I'm thinking 39 seconds might be too long for Patrick Mahomes. Turns out it was, as Patrick Mahomes, that sidearm throw to Spencer Ware, down the sideline, and the great catch by Ware, the diving catch.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And then the Patriots, again, they give him a free play.
Yep.
They give him a free play, and he throws a 27-yard strike, and boom, Chiefs are in field goal range. And I just wrote, Mahomes has had an unbelievable second half. Harrison Butker comes in, ties the game at 31, and for the first time ever, we have both championship games going into overtime. When the Patriots won the coin toss, in my mind, I said, this game's over.
Yes. I said the same thing. I was waiting for overtime to start, and I believe I was talking to Nick at the time, and I said, whoever wins the coin toss wins the game. I mean, that's just what it is. Whoever gets the ball first, they're going to go down the field, they're going to score a touchdown.
Yep.
Because both of these quarterbacks in the second half were just marching their teams down the field for the better part of the fourth quarter, honestly. I mean, they were just unreal. Mahomes really settled down in the second half. He was
And
horrendous in the
you can
first.
expect that. Yeah, but again, I think we forget that he's a first-year starter.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely nerves played a huge part in the way you played in the first half. I mean, you're playing in front of your home crowd in a conference championship game as basically a first-year starter. I mean, that's
against arguably the best defensive mind of all time.
It's surreal. Like, I couldn't even imagine being in that position.
Yeah, so then in this overtime is where I think we really saw the greatness of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right out the gate, first down on the first play to Chris Hogan. Then there was a 3rd and 9, Edelman over the middle for 20. Another 3rd and long, Edelman over the middle for 15. Then there was 3rd and 10, and they hit Gronk for a quick slant for a first down. I mean, I wrote, this is just a deliberate march. And then Burkhead runs for a first, Patriots 5 yards away. Burkhead, again, short gain, the Patriots are 3 yards away. Burkhead again, touchdown. Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. 3rd and longs, and Tom Brady comes up huge. And I was excited because I thought it was great to watch. And then I also thought, Chiefs fans, I have been there.
Yeah.
I have been in so many games where I just said, I wish Aaron Rodgers got the ball in that overtime. And I know that KC fans had to be thinking, I wish Patrick Mahomes had gotten the ball in that overtime. Should this rule be changed? I think it should.
I think so too. I mean, I know it's been this way for years, but it's just it's stupid in a way. I mean, you got to give the other team a chance. I mean, they have to have a chance to match the touchdown. You can go college rules.
I'm opposed to college rules for one reason, and that's because the ball starts at the other team's 25 or the other team's 30. That to me, that's manufactured excitement. Mm-hmm. That's not real football.
Well, yeah, but I just mean basically you go until the other team doesn't match the other team for the most part.
Exactly.
The ball doesn't have to start at a certain point. I still think you kick the ball off and run it out of the end zone, kneel it, touchbacks, all that nonsense. But like, you have to give the other team a chance to at least match the touchdown.
What if you just started on the 25?
Yeah.
You start on your own 25. If you don't want to do the kickoffs because they've, historically caused injury or whatever.
I mean, majority kickers of touchbacks anyway now, so.
Yeah, they are. But go back and forth. Like the field goal, you get the chance to match.
Yeah.
And I'd even be for just do that for the postseason. If you don't want to do that in the regular season, okay, fine, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to cause injury. But in the postseason, the games are so big. Just get a drive each. Have a chance to possess the ball. I know what they're going to say. Well, hold them to a field goal. Then, you know what? You have a coin toss to start the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that coin toss determines what team's going to get the ball right away and then what team's going to get the ball at the start of the second half. You get a coin toss to start overtime. All that means is one team's going to get the ball right away. When was the last time you saw a team go, we're going to kick it?
Never.
I can think of only one time where that happened, and that was the Patriots and Jets, where Belichick decided he wanted to go a certain way because of the wind that day. So he gave the ball to the Jets. I think the Jets ended up winning too.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. I mean, if anybody could take a chance like that, it's Belichick. But there's no. I don't understand how people go, well, you have all this time. Yeah, but the game was tied. And now we're just going to give a huge advantage to one team at a point in time where all the rules are slanted towards the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the overtime rule. I just hate it.
I really think it should be changed.
I agree.
And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I thought maybe like one time, what if you just keep playing? What if the game's tied, team has the ball at, I don't know, the other team's 40, and you just keep playing it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep playing until the other team gets a chance to possess it. I don't know if that's real, because if it's a third down, that makes it a huge game, a huge play to start overtime. But I don't know. I think there's got to be a better way, because having Patrick Mahomes stand on the sideline and never get to touch the ball as that game ends, wouldn't you want, if you're the NFL, wouldn't you want him to take the stage
Of course.
at that point? Wouldn't you want, anybody, any great quarterback, wouldn't you want them to have the chance in overtime? I think you would.
Yeah.
But that's the championship games. So our Super Bowl matchup is set, as the Patriots and Rams will go down to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to talk about the Super
No,
Bowl today.
we'll do that next week.
We will do that next week. We've got, as I said last week, we now have 2 weeks of the longest pregame show in the history of the world, as everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone. Next week, you will get our picks. We'll get into matchups. We'll have a lot of fun next week talking about that.
Yes, looking forward to that.
But sticking to football, Tony Romo. This guy's awesome. This guy, if I'm a GM, I'm bringing him in for an interview. Offensive coordinator,
I'd agree.
maybe head coach.
Something.
I mean, he was calling everything out.
It was absurd.
I mean,
So
and
absurd.
I'm sure there are other players who can do this. Guys who have been there before, who know what they're seeing. But he's also, he was doing it before the formations were happening. Like, that third down to Gronk, they hadn't even broken the huddle yet, and he's going, I got to give it to Gronk. You got to split him out wide. He's the best player on the field. He's your guy. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And he's done it. He did it multiple times that game, and he's fun to listen to because you can tell he's enjoying what he's watching.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a good
You
time.
can tell he's a fan of the game.
He's a fan of the game. Exactly. He loves the game, and he does a great job. And I know a lot of people were upset when he got that job. They're like, oh, this guy straight to the booth. And Monday Night Football tried to do the same thing with Jason Witten. And I thought Witten was okay. He's not as good as Romo.
No.
Romo might be the best color commentary guy in the league right now. I don't think there's another one I'd rather listen to.
It pains me to say it, but I've come around on Tony Romo.
He's fun.
He is.
He's fun.
He is. I hated him as a quarterback, being a Giants fan. Absolutely hated him.
Very underrated as a quarterback, though.
Fuck him. But
I know I'm not gonna get you to agree,
no.
but that's how I feel about him.
But
I thought he was very underrated.
Commentary-wise, I've come full circle on him. I hated it originally because I'm like, great. I'm like, this guy finally got out of the league. I don't have to watch him play against the Giants anymore. But now I have to listen to him every fucking Sunday. But
Yeah.
he's proven he's definitely worthy of the job.
Oh yeah, and he's had fun.
Yeah.
So one last story on the NFL before we move on to baseball. There are unnamed sources. By the way, real men, unnamed sources. Because, I mean, when you don't put your name on something, you are courageous in so many ways, more than I could ever be. Unnamed sources in the Philadelphia locker room are calling out Carson Wentz, saying he's selfish, saying he's egotistical, that he's the reason they struggle, he only cares about stats. Let me say, Carson Wentz is infinitely better than Nick Foles.
Yes.
Carson Wentz was the MVP of the league as he led a team to an 11-2 record last year. And everyone forgets about it because he got hurt, and then Nick Foles did the unthinkable and still led Philly to a Super Bowl. And then they get off to the slow start this year. He had a fractured back. He was coming off a torn ACL. I mean, are we this stupid?
Just because he has his fractured back doesn't exclude the fact that he was a bad teammate. All right.
Supposedly, but now you have all these other guys on Twitter, Fletcher Cox, Zach Ertz, a couple of Eagles saying this is false. He works hard. We love that. He's our guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to prove everybody wrong. Who's saying this? That's what I
Yeah,
always wanted.
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Put your name on it.
Yeah. If you have that big of an issue, grow a pair of balls and attach your name to it.
I mean,
I
like Carson Wentz a lot.
Jason Kelsey came out with a great quote about Carson Wentz. He said about basically
hungry dogs run faster. Was that it?
Basically, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit because I'm not going to read the whole thing. But he said when Carson Wentz got here 3 years ago, he's been nothing but an incredible teammate. From the moment he took reps as a rookie, there was something different about him. The entire offense got better largely because of the competitor and player he is. He has a great work ethic, and his attention to detail gave everybody on the field a huge impact. He went on, explained how he's a great teammate, and then he ended his quote with, "I'd go to war any day of the week and twice on Sunday with guys like Carson Wentz." I mean, it's a big time quote right there.
From a guy who's one is a great player.
Yes.
Jason Kelly, great lineman. Fun guy, I would have to say.
After
seeing him dress up like a genie.
That was a huge Jason Kelsey fan after that move. That man was hammered, dressed as a gypsy for the Super Bowl parade, and it was phenomenal.
A lot of people didn't like it, and I get it, but if you're an Eagles fan, you're over the moon watching that happen. You're loving that. That was great. So, I disagree. I think Carson Wentz is your starter. Like, everybody's talking about what do you do? Do you trade Wentz? No. I don't even think it's a question. No, you don't trade Carson Wentz. We've forgotten that soon how good this guy is?
The people who are on the trade Wentz bandwagon are idiots.
And it's the recency bias.
Yes.
It's so stupid. People forget. Because now, first, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback ever the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady has a great drive in overtime. No, Tom Brady's back to being the best ever. Aaron Rodgers had a bad year this year. He's terrible. You don't want him on your team. He's selfish. Carson Wentz hasn't played for 2 years. He's no good. He's not good at all. I mean, the stupidity. We jump from one to the next with just there's no reasoning behind it. It's just, I mean, you remember Chase Headley with the Yankees a couple years ago. Had a horrible April. I think he hit like a 115 or something.
Oh, what a year.
And then from like May through July, he was hitting close to 400. But it didn't matter to people.
No.
They're like, oh, he's terrible.
Meanwhile, he was one of the best hitters in those next couple months.
Why is he terrible? Well, he had a horrible April. Like,
yeah, it's fine. Do people not recall Mark Teixeira just always being having a slow start to every season?
He was terrible.
Statistically, a slow starter.
Every year.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
We can move on to baseball. Speaking of baseball, some good things happening for us as Yankees fans.
Yes.
Because we were talking about the bullpen and the teams that are the players that are still out there, the Machados, the Harpers, and are the Yankees going to go after them? And we were talking about how the team is good, and how I then said this. We've still got Chapman, still got Betances, still got Mike Hyde, Chad Green. Maybe Canely rebounds. I think that they could still sign Ottavino. And sign him they did.
Shout out
the very next day.
Brian Cashman.
The very next day, that episode dropped last Wednesday. On Thursday, Ottavino and the Yankees agreed to a 3-year, $27 million deal. Does this give the Yankees the best bullpen ever? On paper, it might.
I mean, is there even a question? That's disgusting.
I will say the one thing about this bullpen, Gary Sanchez, I hope you're working out.
Yeah,
man.
Good luck, bud.
I hope the movement, the filth that is going to come out of these guys' hands. That was an interesting way to put that. I mean, to block balls in the dirt, you got to be ready. Ottavino's got one of the filthiest sliders you'd ever see. His two-seamer is just as filthy, but it's not talked about as much.
I'm so
Britton
excited.
throws 95-mile-per-hour sinker. Obviously, Chapman throws 102, and his slider has gotten better over the last couple of years.
It has.
I think he knows, hey, I'm not going to throw 102 my whole career, but at least if I really work on this slider, when my velocity dips from 102 to 97, 98, I can still be effective with this slider.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think he's doing.
I agree.
But now you got Chapman's going to be your closer. I would make Britton the setup guy.
Even
And
after the
then,
year Betances had last year?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would. I mean, Betances, but as filthy as Betances is, he has a tendency to lose it at times
When
where
his control's gone, I
his
mean,
control,
it's
and you
bad.
said it right, gone. It just goes,
It's
and the guy can't throw a strike.
really bad.
And then it gets compounded because then he puts people on and they start running on him because he's
Yes.
got such a long delivery, and now he's all over the place and he's all messed up. So I would make Betances the seventh inning guy, and then I would make Britton the eighth inning guy. I don't think Yankees fans didn't see Britton at his best last year.
Not at all.
He was coming off of the Achilles injury,
Mm-hmm.
and he had moments where you saw that's the Britton that we're used to. This guy had a 0.54 ERA a couple years ago, and he might
Yeah, that's the same guy that Buck Showalter left out in the bullpen.
he's still throwing in that
He's
bullpen in
still
Toronto
out there.
till this day. I don't. So yeah, you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get a healthy Zach Britton, and then you're gonna have Betances. You're gonna have Ottavino. Chad Green might be the best one out there. I still think
He's so good.
he comes in and he's just throwing the ball by guys 96, 97, 98, and it looks like it's playing at 105. Like they're so late on it. He must be deceptive. I don't know what that was. Diana goes sorry. But so Chad Green, I feel like I'm missing a guy out in that bullpen.
I mean, you could have Canely out there still at some
You could
point.
still have Canely. They did settle with him on arbitration, so he was disgusting, and he was a big part of the 2017 team. He had that save against the Astros in the ALCS. So that bullpen, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and you still got that kid Tarpley if you want a left-hander out there.
Yeah, who I think is gonna be pretty good.
He looked good. He's got good stuff, especially tough on lefties. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think we see him at some point this year.
I think we'll see him as well. And so the Yankees bullpen is set.
Yeah,
I'll tell you whose bullpen is not set. The Boston Red Sox.
literal dumpster fire of a bullpen.
And their Dombrowski, I believe it is, came out and said they're not going to pay big money for a closer. So who's closing? Because Kimbrel wants this ridiculous 6-year deal.
He's an idiot.
He's not getting that from anybody.
Nowhere.
Okay,
And if a team does give him that contract, I want to go find their GM in person and smack him in the mouth because
and it would be warranted.
it's asinine.
I mean, if Machado and Harper aren't getting the 10-year deals, you're not getting a 6-year deal, pal.
No,
It's not happening.
and
I think what's going to happen is he'll end up dropping his price and going back.
I think so too.
And
And
I think
Boston needs him back at this point.
they do. And I think that would be best for baseball. It'd be best for Boston. It'd be good for the rivalry.
It would be.
Because so that's what I think is going to happen there. We have the Yankees also signed Danny Farquhar, who of course had the brain hemorrhage in the dugout last April,
Yes.
which caused him to collapse. So he's recovered well, and I'm happy to see this.
Me too.
You want to see a guy like this. You know, you like stories like this.
Everybody loves a redemption story.
Absolutely. And he's gonna it's a minor league deal because we just spoke about the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So the question then becomes, what's gonna keep him from the majors? Is it gonna be his health, or is it gonna be just that bullpen is so damn good we don't have a spot for you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, unless there's an injury, which I hope there isn't, but
And which can always happen.
yeah. I mean, you can always have a guy give a little bit of a rest. I just stuttered like crazy right there. But Yeah, I mean, unless you just want to give a guy like 2 weeks off to just rest his arm.
Well,
I
Chapman
mean,
seems to have one DL stint a year nowadays,
yes,
and
which is going to
I,
happen when
I
you're throwing 102, 103 miles per hour.
I think people forget how dominant he was before the injury last year.
Hmm.
He had an ERA around 1. He was striking out like 16 per 9, like something
It was
ridiculous.
crazy.
So you hope he stays healthy. But yeah, maybe you'll see Farquhar at some point. Um, maybe he's working on stuff all year and then he's part of the September call-ups. Who
Possibly.
knows? Who knows? I don't really want to talk Machado and Harper.
Me
I'm
either.
tired of it.
Me too.
I'm
And
tired
nothing,
of it.
nothing's even going on. It's not even worth getting
No.
into.
We'll talk about it when it's done.
I
When they
did,
have a
I did like Harper's tweet about Tony
Oh, the
Romo.
Tony Romo.
Yes, we could talk about that real quick. That was great tweet.
Yeah, so we were just talking about Tony Romo, and Harper said that he was going to call up. He tweeted out he was calling up Tony Romo to find out where he was playing next week, or next year rather. And that was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
it's a good
And then
tweet.
Tony Romo actually answered and said, "It looks like you're going to be a Ranger." So if that happens, I mean, forget head coach. We need to get Tony Romo in the government and end the shutdown. If that's what ends up happening,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Tony Romo knows how Game of Thrones ends.
he might. He might, and he better not ruin it for me.
Me either. I've been waiting.
All right. All right, we're coming up on an hour here. Let's touch on the NBA and the NHL real quick. In the NBA, I'm so proud of my Brooklyn Nets. They have won 17 of the last 22, which started with that overtime win against Toronto in early December. They are currently the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're 25 and 23. I don't remember the last time this far into a season the Nets were over 500. And they're only 4.5 games behind Boston for the 5th seed.
Yeah,
So I'm going to have some playoff basketball to watch, maybe.
must be nice.
It's going to be very nice. I'm excited about it. Because I've liked where they've gone over the last couple of years. Because they were like, hey, we don't have draft picks. They bring in Sean Marks, who was part of the Spurs organization, to be the GM. And that's the organization you want to go to if you want to get basketball people. And he's done a very nice job. He hired the right coach. Atkinson can coach. Atkinson is the one who helped Jeremy Lin when he was with the Knicks. He was the point guards coach there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Nets are playing well, and I'm excited about it because going into the offseason now, you need one superstar. And the Nets have D'Angelo Russell. Looks like he's coming into his own. He might be, I don't know if he'd be a star, but he's going to be a point guard that you want on your team.
Yes.
And he's had a couple of games where he's looked like a star, and he's scored 40, and so he's playing very well. The Nets have a lot of good role players. Dinwiddie, Allen is a good rim protector. So you've got these guys. They just need the superstar. And I don't know who it'll be because I don't know who wants to play in Brooklyn.
I don't know.
But if
That's
if
the
you
tough
can,
thing. You gotta sell.
that's
You
the
gotta
thing.
sell somebody on it.
You got to sell somebody on it, and that's what they're going to need. They're going to need one of these high-priced free agents to decide, you know what? I'll go play in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you'll become a threat. Or you hit on a draft pick.
Yes.
Or you get that superstar through the draft. But they're not going to have a high pick this year because they're winning.
Yeah.
But you know who will have a high pick this year?
The New York Knicks.
The floor is yours.
So the Knicks currently have lost 6 straight. It's been an amazing year to be a Knicks fan. We played in London earlier last week, and they lost in the most Knicks way possible on a goaltending.
In London?
In London. Oh, fucking goaltending. I just don't even know. I mean,
I kind of feel bad for David Fizdale.
Do you know
because
what?
I like him.
I like him a lot, and I think it was the correct hire for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the young kids that he has on his team, they're playing. They're not bad.
They're just not good.
No, they just don't have any, like, their main guy is Tim Hardaway Jr., who is on a absolutely ridiculous contract.
Yeah, I didn't like that
I
contract.
mean,
in the
outside
game.
of him, yeah, you got Porzingis, who hasn't stepped on a basketball court in over a year. I mean,
I'm still like, I at this point, I don't think you should play him.
No, Ben.
Go for Zion.
Oh,
Try to get
guy,
that top pick.
if the Knicks had Zion Williamson, I can't. I just want it to happen in the worst way.
Just get one of the top two picks because you could still get R.J. Barrett too.
Yes, I mean they're on
So
the
I
way to
mean,
a easily a top five pick,
yeah.
easily.
Um,
I mean they are 10-35.
it's not good.
It's not great at all. I mean the only team worse than them right now is Cleveland, who is 9-39.
I guess LeBron's pretty good, huh?
I'd say so.
Yeah. I mean, the Lakers are falling apart without him.
Yeah,
They've been
that
terrible without him.
team they're a mess.
Weren't they like the number 2 seed in the West at one point with him,
They were up
or the
there,
number three? Number
and,
3 even.
and now he's out, and they've just fallen apart.
Yep. So that's our NBA skedaddle. We'll talk a lot of NBA towards the playoffs. Like the Warriors are back in first in the West. I don't know what the Nuggets were doing there.
I don't
It
know.
surprised me,
Yeah,
but they're still playing well.
they were just there.
But
I guess I don't know.
Klay Thompson, another 40 points last night.
Yeah.
He's gotten over his shooting woes.
Hit his first 10 attempts from 3-point range last night. Finished 10 for 11.
Ridiculous.
I mean, that's just
Ridiculous.
absurd.
And Boogie Cousins is back now.
Yeah, so I mean,
Good luck.
yeah, it's over.
They're gonna win the championship again.
I mean, if they don't, it's just gonna be a shock. I mean, I don't
Yeah, it
know
would
who
shock
beats
me.
them.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up with a little congratulations to our guy Henrik Lundqvist, who passes Terry Sawchuk for 6th all time in wins with 446, and you were there to witness it in person.
I was there. So originally I'm from New York. I've been living in Massachusetts for the last 14 months. So I've been in my.
By the way, how cold was it up there this weekend? Because it was like 8 degrees.
It was 4 fucking degrees outside,
Jesus.
and with the wind chill, it felt like -12.
Wow. My
So
God.
I walked my dog yesterday morning before work, and my nether region vanished. It was gone. It was gone. I mean, it was so cold out yesterday. It was horrible. And it just never warmed up. I think the highest it hit yesterday was 7 degrees, which is not much better than 4, to be honest.
Yeah, it's 23 degrees here right now, which is like a heat wave compared to that.
Yeah, I haven't even been outside yet today. As of right now, it is 20.
All right.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not as bad.
But like I was saying, so I've gone to my share of Ranger Bruins games up in Massachusetts. This is my 3rd one in total, and I haven't seen them win yet. So us being in a rebuild year, a couple guys out, as in Kevin Hayes hasn't played in over like a week or 2.
Please don't trade him, by the way.
I know. I mean, I think it's inevitable, but I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him go.
He's a part of the core. I
Yeah.
just think you can build around him.
He's just getting better and better. Like this year he's having is crazy.
He's been great.
He's been unreal. But so I went into the game. I was telling my girlfriend because she bought me the tickets for Christmas. She's a Bruins fan. So I was telling her for the last 2 weeks leading up to the game that I had zero faith in the Rangers winning this game. I mean, the Bruins are a very good hockey team this year. I mean, that line of
I personally, I think they'll be in the conference final. I think they're that good.
yeah. I mean, you got Tampa in the running. Tampa's going to give them a run for the money, definitely. Toronto
Well, yeah,
also.
it depends on who they play. Toronto.
It's going to be tough with Toronto and Tampa being in the same division as them.
That's true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll
That
see.
realignment. I still forget about the realignment sometimes.
Yeah. But I was telling my girlfriend, I'm like, if they don't get blown out, I was expecting a 5-2 loss. I thought Bergeron, Marchand, and the Pasternak line was just gonna destroy us, but they didn't. I mean, they accounted for one of the Bruins' goals. The Rangers won 3-2. So I had a couple beers in me. It was by far the most cocky I've ever been at a Bruins Ranger game in Boston. Every time the Bruins shot the puck at Hank and Hank made the save, I shouted "Nah, fam" at the top of my lungs. I had people yelling at me. I yelled. I did the traditional. If you ever gone to a Ranger game at MSG during the national anthem, there's always 2 or
Let's
3.
go, Rangers.
Yeah, I did it at the Bruins game, and some lady told me I was disrespectful, and I told her to shut her mouth.
Yeah,
So
she needs to mind her own business.
a
She doesn't
little
know.
aggressive on my part by telling her to shut her mouth. But like I
Nah,
said,
I think it was warranted.
alcohol got the best of me. But
It happens.
yeah, I
The
mean,
Bare Naked Ladies made a song about it.
so so big moment in the game. Filipino gets the puck along the boards in the Rangers'
How good
defensive
has he
zone.
been lately?
Unbelievable. And the kid's 19. It's going to be
19.
amazing when he
What am I
fully
doing with
develops.
my life? I just turned 28 today.
Yeah, happy birthday by the way.
Thank you.
Uh but yeah, Heedle gets the puck along the boards in the Rangers' defensive zone. Just I don't even know who the player was on the Bruins, but he just burnt them up the boards. Gets into the Bruins zone, makes a cut to the front of the net, and just puts it right over Rask's shoulder. And in the process, Rask and Heedle collide. Heedle gets rained down with booze. And
It wasn't his fault.
I was like, shit, that's not a good look. And I thought, we're going to have a Kreider situation on our hands here now in Boston. So I'm watching the replay on the big screen. And as soon as I see the replay, I turn to a bunch of Bruins fans booing around me. And I said, hey, don't boo my boy Heedle. That was all on your boy McAvoy for making contact with Heedle while he was in front of the net. I mean, you can't blame Heedle for that. He went to cut in front to avoid contact with the goalie. McAvoy checked him from behind, sending all Heedle's momentum right into Rask. And Rask
That
ended
was
up with
just
a concussion.
stupid. That was
It's it's
stupid. I
bad.
don't understand.
It's bad. But
And you know, fans don't care because
no.
they'll still blame Heedle.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean,
I
you
mean,
still have
Kreider is
Montreal
still getting
fans
blamed,
blaming Kreider for the Price incident.
but he was tripped by Emelin so clearly.
But they don't want
And
to
you know,
believe that.
and for those who don't know me, I'm no Chris Kreider fan. The guy is not as good as he should be, in my opinion.
Is this the year he's going to hit 30?
I'll believe it when I see it.
I think it has to be. It has
And
to.
then you know what I'll
What is
say?
he at? Is he at 24 or 22? He's somewhere around there. I think it's 24. I think he's 6 off.
Let me take a look. I can find that out really quickly. I'll say this. If he does it, people are going to come after me because I'm the one who's been saying score 30 goals forever.
He's at
And
20.
say he should do it.
He's at 22.
He's at 22?
Yes.
Okay.
So he has 8 goals to go with 34 games left in the season.
Yeah, you better. You better do it. And if he does, you know what I'll say?
About time.
Do it. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. And I know people are going to say, well, that's unfair. You've been asking. Yeah, but you know what? The reason I've been saying to do it is because he should.
He should.
He's that talented.
He has all the skills to be a 30-goal scorer in this league.
He should be a presence every night with his size, his speed. And there are nights where he just Caspers and he ghosts us.
Yes.
And even Patrick Swayze is like, where the hell did he go? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it's frustrating, and that's why that's where this all comes from me. It's frustration. It's not hate.
Oh,
I don't hate the human being.
I'm the same way. I mean, I came under fire on Twitter because I think 4 years ago around the trade deadline, I suggested I didn't even say to trade him. I suggested, hey, we should just dangle Kreider at the trade deadline just to see what kind of return we can get. Oh my God! My
that was when
turned into a wildfire.
You told that girl to take 2 Advil and go to bed.
Yeah, take 2 Advils and take a nap. Don't come arguing with me when you can't read. Unbelievable.
But yeah, I hope he does it. But
now
so Heedle scores that goal.
Yeah, Heedle scores the goal, and that tied the game at 1 at that point. Rask ended up getting a concussion, so I never want to see a player get hurt. Personally. No matter how much I hate them. The only reason I dislike Tuukka Rask is because if you go to a Bruins game in person, that chant in person on the most routine saves known to man is the most infuriating thing I have ever dealt with in my life.
I remember I was watching a game and you know, like when the puck like goes off something and then it just glides into the goalie?
Yes.
I remember that happening.
Oh, and they'll chant it.
Yep, he just puts his glove over it and freezes the puck. Like, what are they doing?
So the collision happened. I turned to my girlfriend and I said, the goal's still gonna stand at least though, right? And some guy behind me goes, he's really hurt. And I'm like, that's fine. I just want to know if it's a tie game or not. And I got called an asshole from that. And then he got up off the ice. I stood up. I clapped. I'm like, all right, it's good that he's skating off the ice by himself. And then like a minute went by, and I was like, all right. I'm like, and I came to me. I'm like, sick. I don't have to hear this fucking Took chant the rest of the night. Got called an asshole again by the guy behind me. And I was like, you don't understand, dude. I was like, just relax a little bit. And then it dawned on me, who's the backup for the Bruins? Yaroslav Halak.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it dawned on me, I'm like, I looked at my girlfriend, I was like, don't worry. I'm like, you guys are definitely going to win the game now. And she's like, why? I was like, because the Rangers have a long known history of not being able to score goals against Halak ever since he was an Islander. But Mika Zibanejad had other plans.
This guy is a stud.
He scored 2 goals the rest of the game, and the Rangers eventually they won 3-2, and I was very happy about it. And his goal, the go-ahead goal that Mika had, was a power play goal, and it was just a snipe and a half. I mean, it was almost Ovi-esque. He had it from above the face-off circle, and he just ripped it.
Yeah, he's a couple of us have been taken to calling him Ovi light because he's not Ovechkin.
No,
nobody is.
No,
but he rips from Ovi's office, and you just go, that was nice. That was really good.
Can we just discuss that we traded an aging Derek Brassard for this kid when I think he was 22 at the time?
A trade that I didn't like, to be honest, at the time.
A lot of people didn't like. And I do remember when the trade first happened, we were talking about it in our group chat. And you said, I'm not a fan of this right now, but we will see in the future.
He's won me over.
I mean,
I like Mika a lot.
He's special. He's a special player.
And he's another one. You keep him and you build around him.
Yes. He's untouchable, in my opinion.
This Rangers team is obviously they're rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're as far away from getting back to the playoffs as a lot of people do.
No.
I think you got a good coach. I really do like David Quinn.
I do too. And the players seem to really like him a lot too, which is huge.
They play hard. They play very hard. And you're never going to completely bottom out when you have Henrik Lundqvist as your goalie.
Nope, impossible.
Because he's going to steal you games, and he's done that this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's going to be a year, 2 years, whatever. I think they're going to be back in the playoffs in the near future. Now, are they going to be contending for Stanley Cups?
No.
Probably not. But who knows? Some people seem to think it's a foregone conclusion that Artemi Panarin is signing with the Rangers in the offseason. Hey, I'd love it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but you bring in a player like that, you're immediately better.
It's big.
He improves any team he's on.
And you got young guys that are only going to go up. I mean, we were just talking about Hedl. He's only going to get better.
Lindgren made his debut.
Who came over in the Nash trade with Boston.
Yep. Brett Howden is going to improve.
Yes. You still have Lias trying to find his game at the the pro level, but
yeah. So who knows?
And you got Kravtsov sitting in Russia being a stud.
He might be coming over too this year. We've been hearing.
He might come down and play in the AHL towards the end of the year, which should be interesting.
We'll see what happens, but I think we could wrap this thing up as we've approaching an hour 15. Covered a lot of things today. Talked about the championship games. Covered the Yankees bullpen, their acquisitions. Oh, I didn't mention that Wilmer Flores signed with the Diamondbacks.
You think you cried?
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit. I'll tell you what will make me cry. I don't know if it'd make me cry, but we have the Hall of Fame announcement today.
Mm-hmm.
And if Mariano Rivera isn't unanimous, I'm going to be a little annoyed.
I'm going to be angry.
Yeah, well, we know he's going to get in.
Yes.
If he doesn't get in, there will be hell to pay.
If he doesn't get in, I'm going to those offices and I'm punching everybody that's in there.
Something would have to happen.
Everybody's getting punched.
But this is Tuesday. You guys will hear this on Wednesday, so when you hear it, you'll know whether he got in or not. I think it would be absolutely ridiculous if he didn't. But
yeah, I mean, I was talking to a couple people at work, and we were on the case of closers because we were talking about the Red Sox and the bullpen and everything like that. There's I don't really think there's such thing as like an absolute dominant closer. I think Mariano Rivera was the last like dominant closer in baseball.
you mean like right now?
Yeah.
There's no.
I mean,
I think it changes year to year. I think it's like you have guys who have these years where they're dominant, and then
but they're not consistent.
Exactly, and that's what separates Mariano
And that's
from
what I
everyone
mean.
else.
I mean, you can have a guy that has an unbelievable year, and then he can come out next year and be trash.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Kenley Jansen this year.
He also was dealing with a heart condition.
That's true, but I mean,
yeah, he was unbelievable a couple years ago. They gave him the biggest deal ever for a closer, which was then surpassed a couple hours later by Chapman with the Yankees. But you know, you got to find guys who can close games. It's not an easy job.
No.
We've seen it. I mean, Betances seems to struggle in that role.
He does.
You put him in the 7th or the 8th, he'll strike out the side on 12 pitches. But, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to baseball in April.
Couple more
I'm
months.
looking forward to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, which we're going to get into on our next podcast. That'll be the majority, I think, of our next episode. We'll be talking about previewing the Super Bowl matchup, and then the episode after that, we'll be recapping what happened in that Super Bowl.
And who? Maybe Machado or Harper will finally sign somewhere. Who knows?
I hope so. I'm gonna put this up. We will not talk about Machado or Harper again on this podcast until they're signed.
Yeah.
Until they are signed.
It's basically like I'm sitting at a very, very bad movie in the movie theater, just waiting for it to be over.
Yeah. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
It's just all these contradicting reports. It's just I don't even want to fucking hear about it anymore.
It's stupid. Nobody knows what they're talking about.
It's crazy.
This mystery team's in the lead. Got news for you. There's no mystery team.
No.
That's Machado's team trying to drive up the price.
The only one
people.
Machado's going to land in one of 3 spots. The only one that's probably the hugest question mark, I mean, it has to be Harper.
Yeah.
That's the only one nobody really has a read on. But
we'll see.
Who knows?
Where can they find you, Mike?
You can find me on Twitter at Mikey_DubsNY. You can find me on Instagram at Mike_Wimmers. That's WIMMERS. You can also find me on nottheworstblog.com, where I've actually put up a couple blogs last night about the Farquhar signing. Touched on the Sonny Gray deal that we didn't even talk about. But I mean,
we didn't talk about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It just became official like a couple hours ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing too crazy. It was basically the Yankees.
And I think they already flipped the guy that they got.
Yeah, they traded him. It was basically Shed Long is the main piece that the Yankees got back from Cincinnati. He's on the 40-man roster. They flipped him to the Mariners for their number 10 prospect, Josh Stowers, I believe.
Josh Towers, yes.
Yes. So they flipped him to the Mariners for the outfield prospect. And the only reason they did that was to free up a 40-man roster spot for Ottavino to have a spot on the 40-man.
All right.
So that's basically why the third team was involved.
I mean, the thing with these moves with the 40-man roster, that's why the Yankees have made so many trades, because eventually with your prospects, they've had such a good prospect pool, you're going to lose these guys.
Yes.
You can't protect them.
No.
You're going to have to put them on the 40-man. So that's why there's a lot of trades being made. I know fans get crazy. What about this guy? What about this guy? Calm down, okay? Because when the Sonny Gray trade was made, everybody looked at what the Yankees gave up, and they said, yeah, they gave up a lot. Dustin Fowler wasn't great last year in the majors. Mm-hmm. James Caprillion still hasn't pitched in over a year coming back from his injuries. And Jorge Mateo really struggled at AAA last year.
Yeah.
So with prospects, you just never know.
No.
But you could find me on Twitter at JJPIX13. It's JJPix13. And on Instagram at John Picarello. I also will write for the Not the Worst blog every once in a while when there's something that I feel like venting about or getting out there. I think my last was the Matt LaFleur article about the Packers hiring him. But do us a favor, if you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast on Apple. How does Spotify work? I don't have it. I don't even know how it works.
So you just search for Stop the Nonsense on Spotify. It'll pop up, and you just hit the follow button. That's
There you
basically
go.
it.
Give us a follow. Give us a subscribe.
Yep.
You can leave a review. You
Yeah.
can tell us that we were
We do.
great. You like it. You can tell us we suck.
Yeah,
that
we
you hate our
appreciate
voices.
feedback. We're open to feedback.
Yeah, and even if you tell us we suck, we thank you for listening.
Yeah, of course.
So it means you took the time to listen.
We just want to get better at the end of the day to entertain you people.
Absolutely. This is our second episode. We're gonna. It's a growing process.
Exactly.
It's part of the process.
Learning curve.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 2. We will see you next week for episode 3.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jonathan Pareco. I'm what? I don't even know what my name is.
Pareco? I don't even know what that is.
Pareco?
Sounds like an Italian dish.
I think I'm just going to carry the L on that one and say goodbye. That's Mike Wimmers. I'm Jonathan Picarello. Thanks for helping us stop the nonsense.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good week.